that might be in my opponent's decks, but yeah. Okay, so match 3 coming up. Once again, an opponent that I don't know yet, so no idea what they are playing. Also, MT3 bot seems to be unfamiliar with them. And this looks like an easy mulligan. Well, these types of hands are, I mean, it's bad for me to mulligan, but they're nice because they don't put me in such a difficult position. Like, they don't cause as much of a headache. I just know everyone would mulligan this. There's no way to ever not mulligan it, so... Okay, so this could be a turn 3 kill once again. The brute force top deck makes up for the fact that I might be losing some life total, so I have a little bit less life to work with for Phyrexian mana creation, and the Immolating Soul Eater wouldn't have gotten to 20 power. So yeah, it should be great. I don't really think there's much that can go wrong if I just put this onto the board. Most of these Stompy decks don't play Epic Confrontation in their main deck, which is their only creature removal really. And I'm already trampling and double striking over, so even like a Vault Scourge as a blocker shouldn't be too big of an issue. Though let's see how much toughness they leave at home as a blocker. Well, 2, okay, that protects them from the... Well, I can't even deal 20, so I have 12 life to work with to make this into a 7 power creature. So this is 10 power then, and then I end up being, if I go brute force battle rage, I get 18 damage in, putting them to 2, but I have to put my life total too low in the process. So I guess I just attack and then brute force, which kills their Netta Sentinel and keeps my Soul Eater alive. And then I'll set up for Apostle's Blessing for unblockability plus brute force. Is that too bad for me? Maybe. Do I need double brute force next turn? Because my life total will be even lower. So maybe I should just protection from green here and then fire breathe it once with mana instead of Phyrexian. Then I'm at 12. So let's see there. Then I don't have unblockability anymore, but next turn I get the second brute force. So that already makes it 7. Then I probably have like 8 life to spend, which makes it another 4. So I could get 22 damage in. So they need to put 3 toughness in for a bit. That makes it difficult for them to attack with Ledgewalker. So yeah, that seems like the better line. Just give it protection from green here. Then I don't have unblockability anymore, but like brute force combined with double strike still does a lot for me in terms of getting damage through a blocker. And it's probably better than having unblockability with insufficient damage. This way I end up trampling over for sufficient amounts of damage. So it's probably a mistake to spend brute force on that turn. And yeah, that should not be good enough. That puts me to 5, so I can spend 2 mana. 7, 8, 9. Wait, I end up not being... Wow, that's very annoying actually. I think I'm like 1 damage short here. Does that help? I don't think so. Each of these adds 3, but I only have 2 mana to work with. So it's 3 power naturally, and then I give plus 6, which is 9, so I can only do 18. God damn it. Yeah, their extra damage makes my Phyrexian mana not to work as well as I would like it to. And I can't even block the Ledgewalker, so there's nothing I can really do about it. 3, 9. Yeah, I'm always like 1 damage short or 2 damage short, like 1 power short with double strike, so I would only be dealing 18 damage, and they might even have Vines of the Vastwood open to stop me from targeting my own Immolating Soul Eater. So I think I just died. Let's not show them any extra cards. Like, finding out whether they had Vines of the Westwood in their hand or not is not really much help to me. Okay, so these seem reasonable to keep the board under control, so I have a little bit more time to set up. But yeah, that was pretty unfortunate. Like, Immolating Soul Eater is great at killing like non-interactive decks or decks that are low on interaction, like you run over Tron with this. We did great things against Tron with it. But if my opponent is pressuring my life total, then it becomes a lot worse. It might even just be boarding all 4 of these out, but then once again we have this threat density problem of having too little creatures in the deck potentially. So maybe just board out like 2 or something. And which other spells would we cut? These seem pretty great to get unblockability. These also threaten my life total and are kind of inefficient, but like being able to play 1-drop and then my opponent, maybe not this one, but like, well, even for this one, but play like a 1-drop, my opponent attacks their Nether Sentinel into it, and then I make it a 3/3, and I have a favorable block while also getting a heroic trigger out of it. Seems like a pretty nice tempo swing to have. So yeah, maybe like 2 of these, because having to attack every turn is actually kind of a downside in this matchup, and at least it has like, at least it's a creature, so it stands like as a reasonable blocker for 1 turn, and then it's threatening on its own. But like the enchantment, like I'm 2-for-1ing myself and I'm forcing myself into a race, which might not always be favorable. This is also an easy mulligan, and this seems like a great hand. The right amount of threats, the right amount of lands. I mean, I don't have a lot of combo potential still though. Is it better to make a 1/1 or to grow a single creature? Probably better to grow it in this matchup. The opposing deck is a lot of 2/2s and not 1/1s, so having these tokens on defense, I mean, this is kind of the exception, but like Nether Sentinel, Burning Tree Emissary, and like whatever, like there's a bunch of Nest Invader, a bunch of 2 toughness creatures, so that making this into a 2/2 or even a 3/3 will likely end up being more beneficial. Probably should have used the Flame Slash rather than the Lightning Bolt actually. I wanted to keep the Flame Slash so that if they have a way to pump their creature's toughness too much, I can still kill it with the slightly higher damage output. But the instant speed is actually pretty important for me to play around Epic Confrontation, so that might have just been a mistake. Probably I was supposed to. Well, now I can tap out for Kiln Fiend, and my opponent's ability to slam Elephant Guide is a little bit limited by the fact that I still have Flame Slash to deal with the 4/4 flare afterwards. Though maybe I'm just supposed to kill their flyer before it gets any kind of lifelink swing in. I think I'm happy to trade either of my creatures for either of theirs in this position. Yeah, they're unwilling to trade. That makes a lot of sense. I think I'll slam Kiln Fiend because it has so much potential, but yeah, if the Vault Scourge becomes too big, that could end up being a problem. There's definitely a lot of risk attached to this line of play. This matchup seems pretty tough, because we have very similar decks, but my opponent's creatures are slightly more valuable as standalone threats without the assistance of spells. They have, like, on average somewhere between half and full point of power and toughness more than mine do. And, like, lifelink is a great keyword to have. The Ledgewalker is unblockable and hexproof. That's great keywords to have, though. Kiln Fiend and... Okay, so how much damage is this? 6, 12, 13, 14, 15. So not quite there. But my opponent might have to respect some damage potential. I think I want to attack before the elephant comes down. Oh no, wait, no, that's... Well, maybe that's fine. Maybe attack with just this. Because they can untap this, that was the concern. But Brute Force still trades for it. I get some extra life, so that makes my position even worse. Well, now I'm missing out on damage because I didn't Flame Slash. Not sure if this was great. Because if I post-combat Flame Slash, that's also pretty awkward. Missing out on the Kiln Fiend trigger. I kind of wanted to trick my opponent into untapping, and then I can trade my Brute Force for the Volt Skirt and then my Flame Slash for the Elephant. But they didn't bite on that. And then if they don't untap, it's much better for me to attack with these as well. Because then I could now, like, target Brute Force on Satyr Hoplite, and I get 4 damage in here and 5 here. So I would hit them for 10. But yeah, I think if these two were attacking, then my opponent is more likely to go for the untap. Not certain. Kind of put myself into a bad spot here. I think I'm just dealing 1 and then dealing with the Vault Scourge before they have any protection available to them. But yeah, this line of play was pretty awkward. Probably it was just correct to give them the elephant pre-combat and then attack with everything. And whatever the elephant blocks, I can Brute Force. Yeah, that was probably the smarter line of play. That keeps their board position kind of low and uses my own mana most efficiently. Yeah, I think I misplayed this. But that's what unfamiliarity with the deck can do to you. So they do have the ability to Quirion Ranger untap this for defensive purposes. I can try, like, making my own 5/5 and blocking, but then I'm super vulnerable to Vines of the Westwood. Yeah, I think I'll take it here, but yeah, I don't like my position anymore. Or basically never did. Yeah, they go for the untap. Now they have the better attacker and the better blocker than I do. Yeah. So I'm kind of reliant on finding Temur Battle Rage, but I don't even have enough mana available to me yet for Temur Battle Rage to really do anything. Well, these are 12, 13. So even if I draw the third land, I only get 13 damage in with the Kiln Fiend, right? No, wait, this also adds. So 9 from Kiln Fiend triggers, 10 from the 1 power. This is 16 damage by giving protection green and casting both of my spells, but obviously I'm still a little bit away from even being able to cast both of my spells. Regardless, I don't really see a great way of making progress here. I think I just need to sit around until I find a third land and a Temur Battle Rage. That's a lot to ask for. And killing their elephant also unlocks the Rancor, though most likely it's necessary for me to stabilize my board position. But yeah, then if they have a Rancor, they can put it onto their Ledgewalker, and it puts me in an even worse position. which target would I even want to target? I don't want to throw too many of my spells away. I can like target this with a brute force or an apostle's blessing, and then this trade also happens. But that leaves me with very little potential, because my Kiln Fiend is actually my best out to still come up with a victory. Alternatively, I pump this, for example, then I would be 2-for-1ing myself by throwing the Crayon Crusader away. And not kill this? No, that's also pretty awful. Yeah, Elephant Guide kinda wrecked me. It's possible I should have just not played the Kiln Fiend on my turn, what was it, 2 or 3? And just Flame Slashed the Vault Scourge instead. They would have still connected with Elephant Guide at a later point, but at least the life swing of Elephant Guide on the life linker would have not happened, and then my position wouldn't be nearly as bad, with them being at 14 instead of 18. Then I would have some reasonable top decks to come up with a kill. Like with this hand, for example, I would already have a kill by drawing any land. So yeah, still haven't got this figured out, what I'm supposed to do. I probably have to spend 2 of my spells and just hope my next draws are actually just Temur Battle Rage and a land in some combination. So then this way I take a lot more damage though. If I want to keep this alive, which I think I do. So I can throw this away so I take 0 damage, or at least like only this 1 damage, or I can keep it around and take 4. So I would go to 7 if I, no wait, I spent 2 on this regardless, so I go to 9 from this already. So if I take the 4 damage, I go to 5, and if I cash this in for the life points, I go to 7, no 8. Okay, going to 8 sounds a lot better, and the Shader Hoplite seems like it doesn't have a lot of potential. I think my strategy here is to just try and stabilize the board as best as I can. And then, but my Kiln Fiend still, probably have to do this first still, even though I get insanely wrecked by them having Vines of the, I get insanely wrecked by them having Vines of the Vastwood regardless. That's the biggest problem, or even like any pump spell. I guess this way of playing it plays around a pump spell that is not Vines of the Vastwood on the elephant a little bit better. No, not really. Yeah, still in a super bad position. Got shot, yeah. Kind of the same thing, though I did preserve my Kiln Fiend like this, but it might be impossible for me to survive over 2 turns. So now I need to put too much toughness in front of the elephant. Damn. Yeah, the Vault Scourge. Well, there was the draw that I really wanted, but it's no longer really good enough, because the gut shot made it so that my blocks were ineffective. I'm not sure. I don't think there was a way for me to stabilize the board while also beating gut shot. I could have gotten the elephant off of the board and they keep the Netto Sentinel instead, if I like reverse my blocks. but then they also get a Rancor that they can put onto the Ledge Walker, so I end up being equally as dead in the long run. Same thing is kind of true here, where I can use Temur Bitterage defensively to first strike down their elephant, but then they get Rancor back to their hand and I just die from Ledge Walker hits the next turn. So I don't think there's anything that I can do. Earlier versions of this deck had, what is it called, Assault Strobe, which is a 1-mana way of giving double strike, but it doesn't offer any form of evasion. I think it is no longer in the deck because it just ended up not being good enough. But yeah, that would be, well, they would just block. That's the big downside of the card and the reason it's no longer played. Okay, so we died. Yeah, this matchup seems tough. Basically they're the same deck except a little bit slower. They have less of a explosive combo setup, but the much sturdier creatures, so they end up just outclassing us if the game goes too long, and going quickly is very difficult for us through Gutshot and Vines of the Vastwood and some number of blockers. So yeah, would want to avoid this matchup. Mostly you just want to be beating up Tron decks and like all kinds of